All right, should be started now.
Yeah, we're good. I see it.
Test, 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 test.
Test, 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 test.
Test, test, test. Hi, Jen.
Hi,
How are you?
good.
Appreciate you joining this late.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, Jen. Yeah, so Luis is just getting ready to start it. The video will run for about 30 minutes, and then we can do the Q&A. So really nothing needed for 30 minutes.
Okay. So how long will
Hey,
the
Jen.
Q&A
Yeah.
be? Hey, Luis.
Sorry, what was your question?
How long will the Q&A be?
I don't know. Usually there's not too many questions, maybe 15 minutes or less.
I see. I find a lot of people are interested in our 2021 roadmap, but
Mhm,
there's nothing about it in the review.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can just if we find a way to mention like in the Q&A that the roadmap is coming, that'll be good. Sean had said you were thinking about the next town hall would be about the roadmap.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like
Yeah.
he's starting it.
I just need time to like write it down and
I think we have to go on mute when the video starts because I think the audio would come through into the live stream.
okay. Shall I mute?
Let's see if Luis can confirm when he's about to start the video.
Yeah, I'm starting it right at 9. So like in a minute.
Okay, so yeah, I guess we'll mute. Nothing else, no other questions, right? We'll just wait for the Q&A.
Yep.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth Nervos Town Hall. Today, we're going to be focused on fourth quarter developments in 2020. I'm Matt, part of the business development and growth team at the Nervos Foundation. And today, we're joined by Jan, chief architect and Nervos researcher. We'll have a presentation and then we'll move into Q&A. So if you have any questions, please post those in the chat. So with that, let's turn it over to Jan for his presentation.
Hi everyone, this is Chen. In this talk, I'm going to give you a brief review of Novo's development in 2020 Q4. The progress in Q4 can be sorted into two categories, infrastructure and interoperability 2.0. There are many tasks accomplished at the infra level. Here I will go over the major ones, including changes in CKB, the foundation layer of Novo's network, improvements from Neuron, the wallet, and the status of new standards such as UDP and ACP. Then in the second half, I'll present the exciting progress on Interoperability 2.0. IO2 is the next generation blockchain interoperability that is able to provide a more practical route to connect blockchains and a seamless experience to users, in which users can move assets and call smart contracts without even know he or she is actually interacting with different layer 1 and layer 2 networks under the hood. Okay, first let's see what happened at the infra level in 2020 Q4. So CKB is the layer 1 blockchain, the anchor and the foundation of Novos network. Because of the key role it plays, we prioritize stability and security over other things in CKB development. The CKB team releases new versions in a regular pattern. Bug fixes, deprecations, and new features will be first published in preview and release candidates. So our community, including individual users, exchanges, wallets, and mining pools, can test the new releases and report bugs. If there's no problems found during the testing period, the release candidate will be turned into a production release. In Q4, CKB went from 0.37.0-RC1 to 0.39.0. The new versions add many new RPCs based on community feedbacks. The most interesting one is the RPC for Merkle proofs. Before, if a developer wants to make a cross-chain transaction between CKB and other blockchains, he would have to construct a Merkle tree of transactions and calculate an existence proof of that transaction in the tree by himself. With the new transaction proof RPCs, developers can easily create and verify Merkle proofs of any CKB transaction. Another improvement is a RPC for transaction pool subscription, which allows a developer to subscribe new transactions in transaction pool and analyze the transactions broadcasted but not included in blockchain yet. As you may know, Novos is promoting a layered architecture, and what's happening in transaction pool, aka off-chain, is as important as what's happening on-chain to Novos application developers. This new RPC provides developers the ability to create more powerful applications and pave the way for future protocols such as open transaction. If you are interested in these two RPCs or any other new RPCs I don't mention here, I recommend you to check the README file in the RPC directory of CKB repository. And by the way, the RPC documentation has been rewritten completely, and we need your help to make documentation better. So any feedback or suggestions are welcome. Another major improvement is the refactoring of storage. In CKB, several modules are responsible for storing blockchain data, such as blocks, transactions, and cells. Before refactoring, the storage modules were stable but not very efficient because the code was written when the team concentrated on launching mainnet on time. There's no time left for optimization at that time. That choice is okay for the first year of CKB because of the storage requirement is still low at the early stage, and the unoptimized implementation can cope with the situation quite well. But the problem will become more obvious as the network grows and more users and applications come to Novos. In order to make the growth of Novos as smooth as possible, the CKB team decided during the refactoring now to solve the problem before anyone noticed. The first pull request, refactored cell storage and bring 4x speedup. The second pull request implemented a feature called chain freezer, which splits the storage of hot and cold data to improve read-write efficiency. The second pull request is inspired by the same optimization trick used in Go Ethereum. So thanks to Ethereum gas team. Okay. The next improvement behind the scene is the continuous resource usage optimization. The vision of a decentralized and permissionless network can only be achieved when the platform and hardware requirements of a CKB node is made as inclusive as possible. One of the major design principles distinguish nodes from others is that we want to build a scalable trusted network without the requirement of high-end hardware. If you ever run a CKB node, you'll notice it consumes far less resources compared to other blockchains. In Q4, we walked in that direction further. The latest version allows a CKB node to run in any environment with only 800 megabytes memory and run on most platforms, including Windows, Linux, iOS, ARM, and even Warzone. Although the support for Warzone is still experimental, that means you can run CKB nodes on many ARM devices, such as Raspberry Pi, or even in your browser. The CKB in Warzone is still in POC phase, so it's part of it's part of our light client plan. The last major feature emerged in Q4 is an independent fee estimator, with the deprecation of previous estimate fee rate RPC. The estimation of proper fee rate for transactions is a tough task, already noticed by developers and users. An accurate estimation requires a combination of history traffic analysis, transaction pool status, short-term traffic prediction, P2P network latency, recent block interval, and such as the urgency of the transactions. To get an optimal estimation that makes your transactions get processed quickly and cheaply at the same time requires quite complex calculation. In previous releases, the fee estimation is a built-in function of CKB node, and you can get an estimation simply by questioning the node through RPC. The problem of this approach is the complex fee calculation constantly competes with other modules of CKB node for resources, and most of those modules are more important than fee calculation. So removing the built-in estimator can not only increase the performance and stability of CKB nodes, but also allows more sophisticated estimation algorithm to be used. The independent fee estimator is almost complete. It's currently waiting the last rounds of review and the release of CKB 0.40.0. The new version of CKB are compatible with previous versions, but with many bug fixes. The CKB team also received several security reports in 2020, and all of them are fixed and most of them are deployed. The CKB team will give a report on those issues once they are all deployed. If you run a CKB node, we recommend you to always run the latest version to minimize potential risks. If you are a bounty hunter or white hat hacker, we welcome you to check out Bug Bounty program on bounty.novos.org. And one more thing I want to mention here is the B extension pull request. CKB is a smart contract platform with a new virtual machine, CKB VM. CKB VM is a very efficient blockchain virtual machine using RISC-V instruction set. It's the key why cryptographic primitives such as SECT256K1 can be compiled and run as a smart contract rather than a hard-coded precompile on CKB. Although CKB VM is already very powerful, it's still in its infancy. Currently, CKB VM uses RV64 IMC architecture. It is based on core RV64I ISA with AMP standard extension for integer multiplication and division, and C standard extension for RCV, which is RISC-V compressed instructions. There are other RISC-V extensions worth to support in the blockchain setting, such as vector set extension B and bit manipulation extension B, because these operations are used extensively in cryptography, so crypto primitive efficiency can be further improved with them. In Q4, the work on RISC-V B extension is basically done and a pull request is submitted on GitHub. It's a fairly large and complex pull request. If you are familiar with RISC-V and/or virtual machine design, please help us review and improve the PR. The CKB team would be happy to send you a gift for your contribution. Yay! I also want to point out the deployment of a new CKB VM extension would require a hard fork, which the CKB team is planning right now. There will be a lot of big enhancements in the hard fork, and B extension is just one of them. If things goes well, we will see CKB's first hard fork in 2021, and the second Guardian hero after Linux. Please stay tuned. The next updates come from Neuron, the desktop wallet. Neuron is built by Novo's core team with two goals in mind. First goal is to provide at least one usable trustless wallet for Novo's users in the early stage. Neuron served this purpose well in 2020. At the same time, this goal becomes less and less important with the merge of all kinds of desktop and mobile wallets supporting Novos. The focus of Neuron gradually moved to the second goal, which is to be a showcase of what can be done and new possibilities brought by Novos. One problem we found when talking with community teams and developers is that we are so used to traditional account model thinking that it hinders the use of our imagination when building things in this cell-based new world. We hope the functions added to Neuron can serve as examples and inspire our community to build more interesting steps. In Q4, Neuron went from version 0.33.0 to 0.34.2 and included several interesting features such as asset count and offline transaction. The asset count is an experimental feature added to recent Neuron releases. It's kind of like an account model built on top of CKB's cell model. It's well known that CKB's cell model is evolved from Bitcoin's UTXO model. However, the cell model not only adds more ability to UTXO, but also make it more abstract. That means you can consider cell as an abstraction of both UTXO and account and sit at a lower level under them. That makes it possible to emulate either UTXO or account on top of it. The asset count feature is just such an account emulation on top of cell. It shows that account model is possible on CKB, and more importantly, we can use it to solve real problems. Because everything stored on CKB blockchain requires CK bytes. User-defined token or UDT is no exception here. When Alice wants to send Bob some UDT tokens, Bob must have some CK bytes to store the UDT Alice is going to send him. The most trivial solution here is to ask Alice send some CK bytes together with UDT to Bob. It may work if they are really good friends, but that's usually not the case. Asset count provides a better solution here. A Neuron user can create an asset count in his or her wallet in order to receive UDT in advance. If Bob created an asset count with his own CK bytes first, Alice can just send UDTs to Bob's prepared asset count. It's like a user needs to open a bank account before he or she can accept transfer, except there's no cumbersome process as in banks. You can open as many asset accounts as you want with mouse clicks. If you find some asset accounts is no longer needed, you can transfer the UDT left in it out and reclaim the CK bytes used to create those accounts. Please note that the asset account is built on the anyone can pay lock standard, which I'll talk about later. Any wallet with ACP lock supports will be able to manage your asset account and interoperate with Neuron and other ACP lock compatible wallets. So asset account is not limited to Neuron, but a feature which can be added to other wallets. If you are familiar with the state rent proposal on Ethereum, you'll find this is actually a state rent enhanced account model working in production. However, Ethereum state rent proposal is abandoned because it's high complexity. If you use EOS before, you may find this looks similar to an EOS account, whose opening requires some RAM. The difference here is first, asset account is implemented completely in smart contract. It's not a hard-coded mechanism in the underlying blockchain, such as in EOS. That means the asset account can be easily improved like any other dApps or Novos. The second difference is because asset account is just another dApp. Novos users are not forced to create such an account. If you don't like it, just don't use it, and you'll still use it. And you can still use CKB and play with Novos apps. Unlike on EOS, you have to create such an account first. Asset account is a great example, in my opinion, showing what's impossible elsewhere is possible on Novos CKB, and the flexibility and freedom given to Novos wallet and app developers. The next new feature, offline transaction, allows you to export a transaction in JSON format. As this screenshot shows, when you create a transaction in Neuron, you can opt to export the transaction and give the JSON to another Neuron or any compatible wallet to sign. As you can see here, you can paste the transaction JSON generated elsewhere and sign it and export it again in Neuron. Or you can also use Neuron to broadcast the offline signed transaction. Offline transaction is useful in scenarios with more strict security policies, such as hot and cold wallet management in exchanges. A long-awaited Neuron feature is ledger support. The ledger support includes two parts. First is ledger support for CKB, which is provided by the Obsidian team from community. The second part is integrating the ledger support with Neuron. The good news is both jobs are completed in Q4. The latest Neuron supports importing wallets for Ledger Nano X and Nano X, and making all kinds of Neuron transactions with your Ledger device. Currently, as the Novos app is being reviewed by the Ledger official, the app can be installed onto Ledger devices through the Ledger Live desktop client with developer mode configured. The last two new features I want to mention here is PW lock support and synchronization estimation. PW lock is an Interoperability 2.0 lock built by our beloved Layer 2 team that allows any Novos assets or dApps to be used in Ethereum or other wallets. Previously, you can only use PW lock in PW wallet. Now, the new Neuron wallet is following the suit, and as a Neuron user, you can now send assets to a PW address. Neuron is a desktop wallet with a full node embedded. The full node makes Neuron a truly trustless wallet. However, it also incurs a slow start because the node needs some time to be fully synchronized, especially for the new installations. Although the slow start is the price we pay for trustless and decentralization, it does bother some Neuron users and give a negative first impression to new users. The new synchronization estimation comes to alleviate the problem by providing a more friendly tip on how long Neuron would take to complete the chain synchronization so as to comfort the users in a certain degree. Novos is a new network and it needs new standards. SUDT or simple UDT is a minimal token standards for user-defined tokens. It's a TypeScript defines how a user-defined token can behave on CKB. It's Novos equivalent of ERC20, a basic building block for more complicated apps. The anyone can pay lock or ACP lock is a lock script allows anyone to increase assets, no matter it's CK byte or UDT, and only the owner to decrease assets stored in the cells controlled by them. The ACP lock is the key component behind the asset count feature I introduced in previous slides. Both SUDT and ACP standards are proposed in 2020, and they are standards with default implementation that anyone can reference and use on CKB. That saves app developers from the hassle of copy and deploy duplicated code on blockchain and reduces their cost. Both standards has passed audit and deployed on CKB mainnet in Q4. You can check the reference for more information. That's the major new features and improvements at the infra level. At the beginning of Q4, I introduced the concept of Interoperability 2.0 in a town hall meeting and give a more detailed explanation on the Wanxiang blockchain a week later. The special next generation interoperability of Novos is why people call Novos a universal passport to blockchain. It turns out the concept pioneered by us is rapidly getting a wide recognition in the industry in Q4, and many teams started talking about it and even beginning to add Interoperability 2.0 features in limited form to their projects. We are super happy about how things go since then, and we are very excited about what we got so far after a quarter of hard working. The three core components to support Novos Interoperability 2.0 capability is a lock, a bridge, and a layer 2. The lock is PW lock, built by the layer 2 team from community, and is already deployed and used by many users. Bridge is Force Bridge, renamed from to CKB, which is a multi-chain bridge aiming to allow free cross-chain asset transfer between CKB and any other blockchains. In Q4, we first tried an unidirectional Bitcoin to CKB proof of concept project, which is a fully decentralized SPV bridge. Then we built a bidirectional ETH from to CKB bridge, which is deployed on testnet, and the code is being audited by third-party teams. The ETH CKB bridge will be developed and deployed in two split stages. The first stage is semi-trustless, in which any user can initiate and relay cross-chain transactions, but a multi-sig validator set takes the responsibility of maintaining Ethereum headers on CKB and CKB headers on Ethereum. In the second stage, the validator set will be removed and the headers will be verified and maintained in a trustless way. Stage 1 bridge will be deployed on mainnet once it has security audit. The ETH CKB bridge is compatible with PW lock, which means an Ethereum user can initiate a cross-chain transaction and transfer assets back and forth between Ethereum and CKB without even notice he or she is using a different underlying blockchain. That's exactly what we want to achieve by Interoperability 2.0. The ETH CKB bridge is also compatible with Novos dApps, so an Ethereum user can embed the code to a Novos dApp directly in the cross-chain transaction, and the cross-chain action and the code to dApp can be completed in a single step. The third component of Interoperability 2 is a Layer 2 framework, GotVulcan. GotVulcan is a roll-up solution that uses CKB as a data availability layer and off-chain execution engine to process Layer 2 transactions. It's a roll-up framework because we want to make it support both optimistic rollup and zero-knowledge rollup, and different execution engines for smart contract environments. Right now, we are working on the first goal, which is to provide an EVM-compatible optimistic rollup on CKB, so developers can port Ethereum dApps onto Novos more conveniently and at the same time get better performance. Polyjuice is the EVM execution engine working with GotVulcan to achieve this goal. By the end of Q4, the core team has successfully integrated EVM and worked through the good cases. The next step is to handle the bad and ugly cases, which mainly happens during fund withdrawal periods. We're working carefully to make GotVulcan compatible with the other two interoperability components. Crossbridge, PW lock, and dApps running on GotVulcan can work seamlessly with each other and make a GotVulcan dApp appears exactly the same as a Ethereum Layer 2 dApp to Ethereum users. If this combination is proven successful, the same ability can be extended to other blockchains such as Bitcoin, EOS, etc. GotVulcan and Polyjuice also provides a new option to Novos dApp developers. CKB is abstract and powerful, There's also a new 1-year-old smart contract platform with less documentation and tools comparing to Ethereum. While we believe CKB will eventually catch up on documentation tools, we also want to provide developers an alternative to choose. As the development of free IO2 components, especially the advancements of PWLock and Force Bridge, it's already possible to build IO2-enabled dApp on nodes today. We call those dApps UniDApp because it provides universal accessibility to users, and of course because they are the unicorns in blockchain world. Yay! So we just go ahead and build the first UniDApp on Novos as a showcase of IO2, an order book DEX named GliderDEX. This UniDApp lives on CKB working with PWLock and Force Bridge. We created a proof of concept first and present a demo of the POC in December 2020. Then we went on to improve the POC and turn it into a more user-friendly demo deployed on testnet. It's the first showcase of what we could achieve with the IO2 components I talked above. And you're welcome to play it on CKB testnet and have a more direct feeling what a UniDApp looks and feels. GliderDEX is an order book DEX because it's easier to build. We don't stop there, and the next thing we are working on is an AMM style DEX called GliderSwap. GliderSwap will be a production-ready template project that anyone can fork, tweak, and deploy on CKB mainnet. The progress goes pretty well right now, and we invite you, our community, to fork and run a GliderSwap DEX yourself when the project is completed. Please stay tuned. And that's all the progress we made in 2020 Q4. That's all I want to share today. I hope you enjoyed it. Everything we build are open source on GitHub. We can do better with the help from you. So any feedback, code review, and pull requests are welcome. If you are interested in the stuff we are building at Novos, please help spreading the word. Thank you.
All right, once with us all of those updates around CKB, Neuron, and all of the exciting progress on Interoperability 2.0. Now we'll move into the Q&A section. So if you have any questions, please post those in the chat and we'll make sure they get answered.
All right. So we do have some questions. The first one is asked a couple times of the when will the roadmap for 2021 be released?
Yeah, okay. So the roadmap of 2021 is already settled. We just need more time to write it down. I think we will share it in next few weeks and in the next town hall. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm sure some people will be happy about that. What are the next steps for Interoperability 2.0?
So as I said in this talk, I think the most important thing next is the DEX demo. And if you are interested in what Interoperability 2.0 can do, you can visit the demo on testnet today, which is the gliderdex.ckbapp.dev. So you can play with it using your MetaMask wallet and see what is Interoperability 2.0 actually mean. Yeah, and after this demo, we will release a production-ready DEX template, which will be a more mature project that you can copy and tweak and deploy your own version on mainnet. And it will be a real DEX that can be used by other projects and by users on mainnet. And I think that's a very key, that will be a key milestone for Novos, and we are working very hard on that right now. Yeah.
And it'll be AMM.
Yeah, the production ready project will be a AMM DEX, and the demo you can see on testnet right now is a order book DEX.
Got it. Will cross-chain assets live one-to-one in wrapped forms as SUDT? I guess basically when the assets come across, are they just SUDT, or is there some other way that they're being accounted for?
Yeah, exactly. So they are wrapped asset on CKB and they are SUDT. Yeah.
Okay, great. How do you envision a CKB light client being useful in the future?
Well, that's actually one of the most exciting feature I'm looking for. We have worked on light client for 1 year and we have made some progress. And I also mentioned that we will have a hard fork in 2021, right? And right now we are trying to incorporate flight client protocol into the next hard fork. And we have completed the protocol design of flight client on CKB. We have sort out all the details of protocols. So the only thing left is implementation, and the only problem we have right now is whether we have enough time to complete the implementation and get it into the next hard fork, because we have a quite tight timeline. If we can get flight client into the next hard fork, that means we will have a super fast light client protocol. Because if you run a light client, you only need to synchronize a few headers. For example, if the CKB blockchain has 1 million blocks right now, you may only need to download 1,000 headers, maybe. So that means a super fast synchronous boot up time of light client, and the light client will be able to query transaction data from its full node peers, and such a lightweight client can be embedded on such, or even in browsers, and even the most crazy ideas will be embedded those light clients in some plugins, maybe in some mobile apps. Like if you are building a mobile game, right, you can embed a CKB light client, so you can synchronize and have access to CKB blockchain. Or maybe you can build a email client plugin. For example, you can build a plugin for Thunderbird, which is a email client. So you can CKB as a common knowledge base for the certificate roots of a PKI system. So you will be able to hook all those stuff together. Yeah. So yeah, there will be a lot of stuff you can do, and that's why light clients and node resource usage optimization is always a focus in our development, in our roadmap, because we can make CKB client capable to be run everywhere.
Yeah, the optimization work is very impressive, and just I think people may not gauge kind of how small the data would be with Fly Client, and then what they get for it, of something measured in like hundreds of kilobytes, and then they get the trustless usage of CKB compared to, say, trusting a node is a very big difference.
Yeah.
About CKB VM, why why do you think a new VM is necessary? You know, if so many people use EVM, why do we need a new VM, and how will it attract a broader ecosystem?
Yeah, because the new VM can do new fancy stuff, you know, because it can support flexible crypto primitive, which is impossible on EVM and even on like existing WASM VMs. Like, although there are so many blockchain claims that WASM is so perfect, so good, right? But if you compare how to like migrate cryptography libraries written in C onto those VMs and compare how easy it can be migrated onto CKB VM, you'll find the difference and you'll see why we want to build this new VM. And yeah, and the other advantage of a new VM such as CKB VM over EVM is it adopts an existing widely used industry standards, which is RISC-V, right? So there are many supports, industry supports behind the CKB VM. So we can pick like free fruits from there, right? And all those big companies, big names in the industry are doing all the hard work for us for free. You know, they are optimizing the compilers. They create new tools continuously, and that means the ecosystem on CKB VM and the toolchain on CKB VM will get better and better as the RISC-V ecosystem grows. Yeah,
that's great.
That's much better than that's much better than inventing your own version of VM. You know, yeah,
living on a blockchain island.
Yeah.
Someone asked, can I use a Nintendo Switch to run a light client of CKB?
I hope so. That would be fantastic. Yeah. I'll keep it in our roadmap. Yeah.
Great. In terms of ecosystem projects, I guess there's two questions here. In terms of the decisions of kind of where the ecosystem is led and integrations, how do you make those kind of decisions in terms of what you look for? What is kind of going into that thinking?
Sorry, what's the question?
So in terms of expanding the ecosystem, and when you look at potential integrations with other projects, what kind of qualities are you looking for?
What kind of qualities? Quality of the, you mean the application you want to support?
Like say, I guess maybe ForceBridge is a good example of, ForceBridge, there's definitely prioritization of which blockchains to kind of develop support for initially.
I see.
And what are you looking for in terms of kind of like energizing the ecosystem to grow with those integrations?
I see. So so in general, we are looking for partners with like most active community and most wide user base. We are looking on metrics like that. And if we take like ForceBridge for a specific example, we are prioritize the chain which is already supplied by PW. So they can, you can already use PW wallet to manage. So today PW wallet already support like Bitcoin, Tron, EOS, those blockchains. So those will be the target blockchains, prioritized blockchains for ForceBridge 2. So in the interoperability 2.0 setting, we are actually follow the step of PW of Polar Wallet. So what they can support now, we will catch up. Yeah.
Got it. And are there any other ecosystem projects in the short term that you can share that are coming up?
Yeah.
Any projects you see kind of growing in the ecosystem that you're excited to share with people?
Yeah. There are so PW Wallet is one project supported by CK Labs, right?
Mhm.
And the other is Townhall. So
Mhm.
Townhall is a social application, social network application that is I think is trending in China. And there is also a new application is building by the I think it's ABC Wallet team.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure how many of you have ever used ABC Wallet, which is a pretty good wallet support Novos. And the team is building a interesting an interesting naming service DApp on top of Novos.
Nice.
So there will be some interesting token economics, and they're working on it. And based on what I know, I heard they have raised some funds from several investors. So they're working on it. I can say much. If you are interested, you are welcome to contact them. I think the APC Wallet team will be very interested in share their ideas and talk.
Great. I think this will be the last question. Is how do we get devs to realize that they want CKB to be the home base for their project?
I think interoperability 2.0 will be such a feature for blockchain for application developers, because as I said, the blockchain space is still small, right?
Mhm.
And there are not many users, not many blockchain users here. If you even especially if you compare to the whole internet.
Mhm.
And what interoperability 2.0 can do is bring those internet users to the blockchain world,
Mhm.
because that's that's what we want to achieve. That's because we want to we want to remove the barrier. We want to remove barrier for internet users, so they don't need to download any blockchain wallet. They don't need to generate private key or key pairs before they can use any blockchain applications. I think that blockchain veterans, they're so used to the blockchain wallets, they just forget the hassles they
Mhm.
face when they enter this space, right? But that barrier is still there, and we think that's a very high barrier for average users. And yeah, and I think that's one point. And the second point is interoperability 2.0 allows your application to be accessible to all blockchain users, to
Mhm.
all users in the blockchain space. If you build a application on Ethereum, that means only Ethereum users can use it, right? Only users with MetaMask or other Ethereum wallet can use your application. I
Mhm.
know it's already a huge user base in blockchain world. Like
Mhm.
Ethereum is the largest network. But wouldn't it be better if your application can be used by Ethereum users, like Bitcoin users, Tron users, EOS users at the same time, right?
Mhm.
It's even better, right? So that's what interoperability 2.0 can bring a application developer.
Mhm.
And I think once they realize it, once we show them it's possible, I think there will be developers appreciate this feature, and they might want to try something new on Novos. Yeah.
It's great. We have very inspiring message around interoperability 2.0. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we'll wrap up the town hall here. Yeah, really appreciate your time and sharing, your thoughts and all this progress from Q4.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks to all the guys behind the scenes, running the streams and interacting with the community, and also, thank everyone for tuning in. And yeah, we'll see you next time. All right.
Okay. Thank you all.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.